Hey Silas, it's Mimi again. Got a sweet little story for you. It says, the most terrible of all. And this was written by Muon Thi, and the pictures are by a man named Matt Myers. So we're going to find out who is the most terrible monster of all. This is Smug. Look at how mean he looks. He's got snakes on his mirror. He is the most terrible monster ever. Even his magic mirror says so. There he is. Every morning right after he slimes himself with 20 frogs, he asks, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most terrible one of all?" The mirror always replies, "Ugly smugly, my smelly wuggly, you are the most terrible one of all." "Truly?" says Smugly. "True as the slime and grime dripping from your nose, true as the snails and tails creeping between your nose." And there's the weird looking magic mirror. And all the little critters at the bottom. But this morning, something was different. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most terrible one of all?" "Ugly smugly, my foaming nuggly, you are pretty terrible, it's true. But, but another has arrived next door, another who's a million times more terrible than you, another who's a million times more terrible than me? Who is it? How can that be?" And there he is. He's just imagining who could possibly be worse than him. A bunch of other scary monsters. Smug sharpened his claws. "I'll show you who's the most terrible one of all." And there he is. He's sharpening his claws. Smug stomped out of the house, trampled the frogs, broke the fence, squashed the flowers, and pushed down the neighbor's door. There's his house. There's the broken fence. There's the squished flowers. And he's going to his neighbor. And there's a water serpent. Smug had never seen so many wild beasts before. It's a whole lot of them up in there. He pulled down a beast swinging on a chandelier. "Are you the one who's the most terrible of all?" "No, not me. Fang is the most terrible. She's under there." So he's pulling that one down. So this is Fang under here. Let's find out if she's the most terrible one of all. "Are you the one who's the most terrible of all?" Fang says, "No, not me. Jaws and claws are the most terrible. They're right over there." And there's Fang under the table. "Are you the one who's the most terrible of all?" "No, not me," said Claws. Jaws shook his head. Just then a thundering noise rattled the windows and doors. "What was that?" whispered Smug. "Oh, that's our new sister," said Claws. "She's upstairs and she's really the most terrible of all." And there's Jaws and Claws tearing up a stuffed animal. So they're not the most terrible. Their new sister looks like she must be the most terrible of all. I can be more terrible than that, said Smug. He howled and growled as he stomped up the stairs. The little beast didn't look so terrible. And there she is in her crib. She's got her little spider toy up here. She's got a big old smile on her face. Smug leaned in close. The little beast pulled his hair. I told you she was terrible, said Claus. And there she is, just snatching on Smug's hair. And there's Claus going, I told you she was terrible. Next. I can be more terrible than that, said Smug. And he took a huge bite out of her crib. But there she is. She's ready for him. But the little beast was just getting started. She wrote on the walls. She teased the pets. She ripped the books. And she said her first word. It was not a nice word. Writing on the walls. Teasing the pets. Tearing up the books. And now she's saying an ugly word. It must be pretty bad by looking at the looks on their faces. Oh, and she spilled some water too. Just a little bit. Danger, ginormous sea serpent. That's some serious water. I told you she was terrible, said Claus. I can be more terrible than that, said Smug. He grabbed the serpent by the tail. He rolled it up. He kicked it. And there's that poor sea serpent, just minding his own business. And he gets rolled up into a serpent ball and kicked. That's truly terrible. The little beast started crying. Smug picked up the little beast. She stopped crying. Well, she's got a big old crying mouth, doesn't she? So Smug picked her up and she stopped crying. Oh boy, what happens next? She bit his nose. Smug tried shaking her off, but he only got dizzy. He crashed into the wall, but she still held on. That's pretty bad. He fell straight out the window. Oh no. And Smug couldn't believe it. The little beast was still on his head. The other beasts ran out of the house. I told you she was terrible, said Claus. And there he is. He's in the water and the little beast is still on his head. Suddenly, there was a big, stinky gust of wind. Pretty sure that's a big old fart. I think someone needs a diaper change, said Jaws, holding his nose. The little beast squeezed Smug even tighter. She probably stinks to high heaven. I think the baby likes you, said Fang. Smug glowered at the baby. The baby grinned at Smug. I don't like anyone, said Smug. We'll see about her. Smug stomped across the lawn, squashed the flowers, kicked the fence, trampled the frogs, and pushed down his door. And do you see where she still is? She's still hanging on to him. She's a strong little beast. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most terrible one of all? Smug wants to know, with the little beast holding on to him. And the mirror's like, Then the mirror says, the most terrible, over 2 feet tall. So the mirror says that Smug is the most terrible, over 2 feet tall. But that little beast is still the worst one of all. But that's a sweet little smile. I hope you enjoyed this story. I really enjoyed it too. I've got lots more waiting on you, including more Pete the Cat. That'll be coming to you soon. I love you so much. I hope you have a wonderful night and a great day at school tomorrow. Sweet dreams to you. I love you, Silas. Bye-bye.